can a plant, I mean, genuinely open the doors of your consciousness?
Mm-hmm.
Can its power be so profound that it actually connects you directly to, well, the divine? It's a pretty wild question, isn't it?
It really is. And,
Huh.
for centuries, maybe longer, our sources show sages, mystics, spiritual seekers. They've quietly used a particular plant.
Right. Folded into their meditation, their sadhana, that's their spiritual practice.
Exactly. And this plant, often revered as an offering to Lord Shiva in India and seen as a gateway to knowledge in lots of ancient cultures, it was way more than just an intoxicant to them.
More like a spiritual catalyst, you mean?
Precisely. That's how the sources frame it.
Okay, so here's the real mystery we're trying to unpack in this deep dive. Why did this secret, this spiritual dimension get sort of hidden, or at least obscured?
Yeah, how did we get to a point where modern society mainly sees it as, just a substance for getting high?
And the big question hanging over all of this,
Yeah.
can cannabis truly help with spiritual practice?
Yeah.
Or is that whole idea just an illusion?
Well, that's what we're aiming to explore. Our mission today is to uncover the deep secrets, the layers of this really esoteric subject.
Well, look at the ancient texts, right? How they saw it.
Yes, exactly. How they viewed it, what forms they used, and what exactly they thought it could unlock, on the path to enlightenment.
Okay, so get ready for quite a journey exploring this mysterious relationship between cannabis and spirituality.
It's a fascinating one.
All right, let's start at, well, maybe the most famous connection, certainly in India, Lord Shiva.
Ah, yes, Shiva.
If you look at Shiva, often seen as this incredibly mysterious, powerful god, there's this deep, deep link with cannabis in the mythology.
Mm-hmm. The stories suggest he used it, but not just recreationally. It was a tool, almost, to reach these extreme heights of consciousness during meditation.
Going beyond the ordinary mind.
Absolutely. What's really interesting is how our sources talk about the essence of Shiva's consciousness. It's not just about power or, destruction.
Which are things people often associate with him.
Right. But fundamentally, it's about the expansion of awareness. Shiva is described as the void, this boundless state. And to get there, to meditate infinitely, you have to transcend Maya.
The illusion of the material world.
Exactly, and the limits of your own mind. So Bang, or Sita plants, as they were called, were used as a kind of medium, a way to help achieve that wordless state of mind.
A space beyond thought.
Yeah. And it's not just mythology either.
Okay.
You might be surprised, but Bang is mentioned explicitly in really ancient texts, like the Rig Veda and the Atharva Veda.
Seriously. In the Vedas.
Yep, called Soma sometimes, or Sita, described as an elixir, something believed to connect consciousness with divinity.
Is there a specific reference?
There is. A verse from the Rig Veda says, Sampuna tu Vishwa, Sampuna tu Napitar, which basically means Soma purifies us, purifies our ancestors, and purifies the entire universe.
Whoa, that's pretty profound. So is this just ancient poetry, or is there maybe something more to it, a kind of, I don't know, spiritual science?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And interestingly, this plant's significance wasn't just in India. Our sources show it popping up all over the ancient world.
Really? Where else?
Egypt, China, the Middle East, it had a presence.
It's amazing how widespread it was. Like, you hear about Taoists and Buddhist monks, right, in China, Tibet, using it to help meditation.
Exactly. To gain deep insight. Our sources mention figures like Lao of China and Lama Ho of Tibet.
Yep.
They apparently called it the smoke of meditation, believed it could dispel the darkness of the inner soul, clear the way.
Dispel the darkness. So, okay, we have this picture of ancient reverence, this spiritual tool used across cultures. What happened?
Yeah, that's the pivot point. If it was so revered, why did that image get tarnished? Why did it become just an intoxicant in the popular view?
Can it really show a path to enlightenment? Or is it, like so many people think now, just an illusion, a distraction?
It's the core tension, isn't it? And our sources suggest it wasn't one single thing. The shift seems complex. Well, things like changing trade policies during colonialism, maybe the rise of, industrial medicine favoring synthetics over plants.
Ah, okay. Pushing out traditional remedies.
Possibly. And even in the last century, the political use of drug laws, it all kind of chipped away at that spiritual heritage, reframing it.
Recasting it purely as something dangerous or just recreational.
Exactly. And maybe to understand both sides, the ancient reverence and the modern view, we need to look inside, at the brain itself.
The brain, how does that connect?
Well, ancient sages didn't just see it as biology. They saw the brain as like a reflection of the whole universe, a gateway.
A gateway to consciousness.
Okay. And this is where it gets interesting biologically. The idea of endocannabinoids comes in.
Right, the compounds our own bodies make.
Precisely. They're similar to compounds in cannabis, and the thinking is elements in cannabis interact with this existing system in our brains.
Activating certain pathways.
Potentially. Pathways linked to things like meditation, imagination, states that feel spiritual.
Okay, so let's talk specifics. What kind of spiritual experiences do the sources link to cannabis use in these contexts?
Well, three key ones often come up. First, this feeling of expansion of consciousness.
Like your awareness broadens.
Yeah. The idea is cannabis elements connect with brain cells involved in meditation and imagination. That's supposedly why some saints took it before practice, to sort of open things up.
Interesting. What's the second one?
The second is often described as the dissolution of time.
Time feeling different. Slower, faster, or just gone.
Kind of melting away, yeah. People report this altered sense of time, which is apparently very similar to deep meditative states, where the usual boundaries of the physical world seem less rigid.
I can see how that would feel profound. And the third?
The third is the dissolution of the ego.
A big goal in many spiritual paths, getting beyond the eye.
Exactly. Realizing we're not just this body, this personality, but something faster. And our sources say some traditions felt cannabis could help facilitate that realization.
Like the tantrikas and yogis.
Yes, they connect this to Shiva's consciousness. Shiva as Bhutnath, the one who transcends death, life, even normal consciousness.
So again, reinforcing it was for deep practice, not just leisure.
That's the consistent theme in these traditions. Which brings us back to that question.
Why hide it? Or why did it become obscured?
Was it just because people started misusing it? Or was there something more deliberate? An attempt to erase its spiritual power as part of that historical shift we mentioned.
It's hard not to wonder, because today there's so many myths and misconceptions floating around.
Totally. Some people treat it like instant enlightenment in a plant. Others dismiss it completely as just a drug causing illusions.
But the truth, it sounds like, is way more complex, more mysterious.
It seems so. Many sages and tantrics, according to our sources, did believe it could be helpful. It could take you into deep meditation towards samadhi.
Samadhi being that state of total absorption union.
Right. But, and this is a huge but, only when used in the right way, with the right intention and discipline.
Okay, so how did they use it? What was the right way?
Well, for example, Indian sages used it to try and free themselves from the bondage of the senses, from constant external desires and distractions.
So quieting the mental noise.
Exactly. When the mind isn't constantly pulled outwards, the meditative state can naturally deepen. It wasn't about chasing a feeling, but removing obstacles.
That makes sense. And you mentioned Tantra Satana.
Yes, in Tantra, specific plants were sometimes used in practices, but again, the goal was always inner awakening, not just pleasure-seeking.
It ties into this idea about the pineal gland, too, doesn't it? The third eye.
It does. Some traditions believe cannabis, used properly, could help activate that area, the Ajna chakra.
The seat of intuition, insight.
Right. Sources explain that deep meditation shifts brain waves into delta and theta states, and the belief was cannabis could sometimes ease this transition, help someone let go of the ego and touch pure consciousness.
Is that why some Shiva devotees still use Pang on Mahashivratri?
That's the traditional understanding, yes, to deepen their meditation and devotion on that specific sacred night.
But this raises a critical point, surely. It can't be for everyone, used casually.
Absolutely not. The sources are very clear. If used just for intoxication, for escape, it can actually lead to more entanglement in Maya, in illusion.
But if used specifically for spiritual practice, for awakening,
it could become a powerful tool to help dismantle the ego. This very duality, this potential for help or hindrance, is likely why the yogis and tantrics kept it somewhat secret.
Because they worried about misuse by people who weren't ready or didn't understand the purpose.
Precisely. Leading to confusion, not clarity.
So if someone today was interested, thinking about this ancient connection, how can they approach it responsibly based on these insights?
Well, the sources emphasize the rules the sages followed. It was never casual, never just for pleasure. Improper use leads to illusion, not self-knowledge.
So what are the guidelines, the right ways?
Okay, first, only consume before meditation and in limited amounts. Second, the intention must be pure to deepen meditation or sadhana, not for recreation.
Intention is key.
Absolutely. Third, choose a quiet, sacred space for the practice. And fourth, crucially, if it's your first time exploring this, only do it under the guidance of someone experienced, a knowledgeable teacher or guru.
Okay, that makes sense. Strict parameters. What about techniques during meditation under its influence?
The sources suggest things like mantra sadhana, chanting, say, Om Namah Shiva or another seed mantra, letting the vibration work.
Focusing the mind.
Yes. Also, focusing vision internally on the third eye point is said to increase depth, and perhaps most importantly, minimize body movement.
Why is that? If the mind is active.
Because stabilizing the body helps stabilize the mind. It's fundamental to meditation, even if the cannabis makes the brain feel active. Discipline is still required.
So it really drives home the point.
Mm.
Bang, or cannabis in this context is just a means. It's not the destination itself.
Exactly. It's not self-knowledge, it's a potential tool towards it. If you view it as Shiva Prasad, a sacred offering, while meditating, maybe it helps deepen it.
But if you use it repeatedly without meditating,
Then it becomes a crutch, a hindrance. The path of yoga and tantra ultimately requires giving up dependence on any external thing.
because true enlightenment has to come from inside.
Always. From the inner mind.
It makes you think about the misuse today versus how it was apparently used anciently.
Yeah, the contrast is stark. It seems it was a secret method used carefully by experienced practitioners. Used improperly, it just confuses consciousness.
And it's crucial to remember, lots of people reach deep states, reach samadhi, without any substances at all, right?
Absolutely critical. It should never be seen as essential. Cannabis isn't the source of enlightenment. It might be a path or part of a path for some people.
If they use it with the right purpose in controlled ways.
Exactly. But the real journey, the deep journey of enlightenment, that always comes from within, not from anything external.
So let's circle back to our main question then. Is cannabis really a means to enlightenment, or is it just an illusion?
Based on everything we've looked at, the answer seems clear, doesn't it? It can be a means.
But it's definitely not the goal.
Precisely. If you approach it with the right intention, discipline, it might help deepen meditation for some. But if it's just for intoxication, for mental luxury,
Then it leads the other way. Delusion, disorientation, not expanded consciousness.
right. In the Shiva Tantra and yoga traditions, it seems it had a place in specific, controlled situations. But abuse, never acceptable.
It really emphasizes that real enlightenment isn't about finding the right substance. It's about internal discipline, internal practice. Sadhana.
True understanding, unlocking the secrets of consciousness
Yeah.
that comes from seekers who can go deep into meditation without needing external support. That's the ultimate path described.
So it leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to mull over, doesn't it?
Indeed. Do you believe a person can actually achieve that kind of infinite consciousness like Shiva, totally without external means?
Or could these ancient secrets, these techniques from yogis, still be genuinely useful for a seeker today if approached with the absolute right intention and care?
Something to ponder, a fascinating intersection of ancient wisdom and modern searching.